Most people assume that plenty of Americans have $1 million saved for retirement. It sounds like a common milestone, a number you eventually reach if you work hard, contribute to a 401k, and stay out of trouble. But here's the truth most people never hear. Almost nobody gets there. Not in retirement accounts, not in investments you can actually live off, and not in the way social media makes it look. If you walked into a room with 100 adults, maybe 2 of them, sometimes even fewer, have a true 7-figure retirement portfolio. Everyone else is much closer to 0 than they want to admit. And that gap between what people think and what's actually happening is massive. So in this video, we're breaking down exactly who really has $1 million saved for retirement, why the number is so much smaller than people imagine, and what it actually means for your own financial future. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, especially if you want more simple, data-backed videos about money that most people never talk about. Section 1. The big confusion. Net worth versus retirement savings. A huge reason people misunderstand how many millionaires exist is because they mix up net worth with retirement savings. Net worth includes everything: your house, your car, your business, your investments. So when reports say around 18% of households are millionaires, it sounds impressive, until you realize how much of that number is just home equity. Once you remove the value of someone's home, the median household has only about $57,000 in actual financial assets. And when you zoom in on real retirement savings, the money sitting in 401ks and IRAs, the number of true $1 million savers drops dramatically. Here's the reality. Out of 100 people, only 2 or 3 have $1 million specifically saved for retirement. Most people may own a home, but very few have a portfolio big enough to fully support life after work. That's why this distinction matters. $1 million net worth isn't the same as having $1 million you can actually rely on. Section 2. How many people actually have $1 million saved? So let's get to the number everyone wants to know. How many people truly have $1 million sitting in retirement accounts? Not home equity, not businesses, not cars. Just pure retirement money. According to Federal Reserve data, only about 2.6% of Americans have at least $1 million in their retirement accounts. That means out of 100 people you know, maybe 2 or 3 have actually hit that milestone. And even among people close to retirement, those in their late 50s or early 60s, the median retirement balance is only around $185,000. That's not even a fifth of the way to 7 figures. Most people simply never save enough, invest early enough, or stay consistent long enough, and many rely too heavily on home equity or Social Security instead of building real investments that can generate income. This is why so few people ever reach the $1 million mark in their retirement accounts, not because it's impossible, but because the path requires long-term habits most people never develop. Section 3. Why the number drops so low when you exclude the house. Here's the part most people overlook. Home equity isn't retirement money. You can't withdraw from your kitchen or sell off a bedroom to cover groceries. Unless you downsize or borrow against it, the equity just sits there. That's why the number of millionaires shrinks dramatically when you remove the primary residence. A home-heavy millionaire might have an $800,000 house and $200,000 in investments. But someone with the opposite setup, $200,000 in home equity and $800,000 invested, is in a completely different position for retirement. Both show a $1 million net worth, but only the investment-heavy person can actually turn that wealth into income. This is why investable assets matter far more than a net worth that's tied up in your home. Section 4. The age factor. Who reaches $1 million and when? Here's the reality most people never hear. The majority of people who reach $1 million in retirement savings don't do it in their 30s or 40s. They get there near the end of their working years. For most households, serious saving doesn't start until the kids are older, the mortgage is more manageable, or income finally hits its peak. That's why the 7-figure mark is most commonly reached in the late 50s or early 60s. Look at the percentiles. A $1 million investment balance usually sits somewhere between the 75th and 90th percentile for people in their 60s. But for people in their 40s, it's extremely rare, often in the very top few percent. And that's important to remember. $1 million is usually the result of decades of contributions, not a fast climb. Before we move on, if you're finding this helpful, make sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and you won't miss future videos that break down money topics almost nobody talks about. Section 5. Why most people never get there. If reaching $1 million in retirement savings is so valuable, why do most people fall short? It usually comes down to a handful of predictable patterns. First, lifestyle inflation quietly wipes out raises and bonuses. As income grows, spending grows even faster. Nicer cars, bigger homes, more subscriptions, more everything. Money that could have been invested instead gets absorbed into day-to-day life. Second, saving is inconsistent. People start strong, then hit a rough year, change jobs, or face expenses that interrupt their contributions. And once those gaps stack up, compounding loses its momentum. Third, most people start too late. Someone who begins investing at 40 has to save dramatically more than someone who started at 25, even if they earn the same income. Then there's over-reliance on home equity and Social Security. Many assume they'll just figure it out later, sell the house, depend on Social Security, or tap into equity. But home equity isn't liquid, and Social Security was never designed to replace a full income. Put all of this together, and the result is simple. Only a small minority consistently save early, save enough, and stay invested long enough to reach 7 figures. Section 6. What $1 million in retirement savings really provides. A lot of people hear $1 million and imagine an extravagant retirement, luxury travel, endless comfort, zero worries. But the truth is much more practical. $1 million is less about living large and more about living securely. With a safe withdrawal rate of around 4 or 5%, $1 million turns into roughly $40,000 to $50,000 a year in income. That's before adding Social Security, which might provide another $20,000 to $25,000 per person, depending on your work history. Put those together, and many retirees end up with a total annual income somewhere between $80,000 and $95,000 as a couple. For most people, that's enough to live comfortably, not lavishly, but comfortably. Bills get paid, groceries are covered, there's room for a few trips, some hobbies, and a life without financial panic. But it's not endless money. Healthcare still matters, housing still matters, and inflation will steadily shape what that income can buy over time. $1 million isn't a luxury lifestyle. It's stability, the kind that lets you sleep at night knowing your expenses are covered. Section 7. What actually moves you toward the $1 million mark? Reaching $1 million isn't about luck or a massive income. It's mostly about a few habits that compound over time. 1. Start early. Even small contributions grow dramatically when they sit in the market for decades. Time does more of the work than you think. 2. Stay consistent. People who reach 7 figures aren't investing huge amounts. They're investing regularly. Automatic monthly contributions beat occasional big deposits. 3. Avoid wealth leaks. Lifestyle inflation, high-interest debt, and impulse spending quietly slow you down. Keeping your expenses controlled accelerates your path to 7 figures. And finally, track your net worth both with and without home equity. That second number tells you how much wealth can actually support you in retirement. These small behaviors, repeated over many years, are what move people toward the $1 million mark. So here's the truth most people never hear. Being a millionaire on paper is pretty common today, but having $1 million in actual retirement savings is rare. Only a small percentage ever reach it, and even fewer reach it early in life. But the encouraging part is this: you don't need luck, a huge salary, or some secret strategy. You just need time, consistency, and the discipline to keep your money growing instead of leaking away. Focus on building investable wealth, not just home equity. Know your number, track it, then keep moving toward it month after month. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe for more breakdowns like this, and check out the next video on your screen. You're closer to financial freedom than you think.